Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing great today. Today, as you can tell, we are doing something different. I'm going to check out the Stanley Parable, the Ultra Deluxe version. I've never played the original, and this one has been popping up here and there every once in a while, so I've become curious about it. I know very little about it besides the narrative being kind of snarky and it being puzzle-like and needing several replays one after the other, so that's about where my knowledge ends. So, I am absolutely not procrastinating from playing Alien Isolation right now, so don't even start. And let's get into it. I put in subtitles. The end is never the end is... Yeah, this is what I mean. The end is never the end, so on and so forth.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Has he been?
And then one day,
made
something very peculiar happened.
for that job?
Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Hello there. Is this all a simulation? Can I look at this? No. What can I do even? Just walk. Recommendations from the Oversight Committee. I hate Sundays? Why did I say Sundays? It's gotta be Mondays, right? I can't tell. It has to be Mondays. Okay. So it is 11:21. I'm assuming in the morning, so we must have been sitting here for a few hours. 4:28, okay. 4:29, computer is off even. Can I get in here? No?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
This is not a meeting room, I'm guessing. Let's check it out. A short history of relations between Poland and Austria-Hungary? Ah, it is Mondays. Alright, so this person must have a different job than me.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Like that the person is narrating my own experience here. Okay, that's another... Oh! Number 1 dad. Alright. Wait, I can't tell what's on there. Installation? Oh, like in the good old days. It's gonna take 33 days. 99 days even. I like work. I just hate my boss. All right. Interviewing and interrogation techniques. All right. Hello. I am just going to wait until someone breaks a window and it turns out that we are on a space station. 424. Where is the meeting room? I'm assuming not there. Oh, wait. That's a different kind of wall. Hey, solitaire. Nice. Okay. But... what? Fuel? I'm guessing. Be my Valentine. Valentine's Day is coming up. How the mighty have fallen. Okay, what does this one say? An examination of the impact of the work and art of Lula Chamberlain? That's a copier that's in the middle of the room. Well, that's a choice. Nope, can't take that. Who farted? Does this open? It does not. Do I? Okay, I need to use the button to open it. Maybe those other rooms.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference. Nor did it advance the story in any way.
I love it. Does my office open? It does not.
Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
I clicked, huh? Okay, okay, fine, great. I guess we're going here. Thank you, the narrator. Does this open? No? No. Oh, hello. That's a mess. Okay, wait. That clock is different. Are we going back in time? Does this close? Aha, it does close. Okay. Does that? No, that's not a meeting room either. Okay, that time matches the previous room. Sales in this quarter. Okay.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Did he now? He didn't.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Of course. He did. This is a mess. The time is still the same, though. That's good. What is... Okay. That better not be employee lounge. Or, okay, I feel like I should be paying attention to the numbers too. 47, 48, 49, or 50. Okay, this must be the lounge then.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Yes, he did. Speaking of drinking, can we get a drink? No?
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
I don't want to listen to you. You are very pushy. Yes. What is in here?
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Do not lie. If you are lying right now, stop. Okay, a drafting table. Interesting. Can't take anything with me, can I? Bucket of paint, I'm assuming? Do not jump from the cargo lift while it is in motion. But once it stops, you're good to go. Can I break it? No. Right. So. Can I jump? No. What is this? I need a key card that I don't have. Ooh, I can crouch. You know what? I'm gonna look at controls in case I'm missing something, so give me 1 second. It says I should be able to jump. And I just got an achievement that said you can't jump. Right. Penalty for misuse of cargo lift, 1,000. Penalty for jumping off the cargo lift, 5,000. Right. But you will also die in the process. Vent access for trained employees only? What? Can I take this with me?
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
How? Danger everywhere. See? Signs like these do not make me more trustworthy. Okay, this does not close. Can I continue jumping down, is what I wonder. There's an exit. Alright, let's keep going. See where we end up. Ah, now you close. 2B1. Okay. Car, go. Operator's manual. Alright, nothing opens for me. Do not stand on this side of fence. Well, too bad. No buckets past this point. Was there a bucket for me to pick up? Because I want to break all of the rules that he's setting for me. No. Well, no buckets, I guess. Okay. Don't trust. We're back to 1121. Curiously. Marilena Retzel? Access permit? Wanted criminals? Ministry of Admission, official bulletin. Inspector, stricter credential requirements have been instituted. Those can citizens must show their ID card. What? Physical appearance, overweight. Amazing. 73 kilos? For 180 centimeters in height? That does not sound very overweight to me. What? Okay. A new chapter detailing document features has been added to your rulebook. Okay. Deny any applicant with discrepant documents. Refer to the audio transcript to correlate entrance statements. Right. Glory to... Oh, what is happening in here again?
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
But did he? There's a paint bucket. No.
Aha, perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
Oh my God. Why does it sound a lot more sinister now?
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ooh, behind me. Okay.
All right, fine. Go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
Okay, is he gonna kill me?
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place. Broken rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you? Do you not think I put a lot of time into that? Because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing. Because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What would have made this game better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some feedback. There we go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before. Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
Suspicious.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices? Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical feedback here.
Yes.
Aha! You see, I knew I was onto something. Where do these flashes of inspiration come from? How did I know the game needed a third door? Well, it's instinct mostly, a calling in your gut. I really couldn't say where the idea came from, except that I felt it in my soul. You can't teach that, Stanley. Don't even try. Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
The Stanley Parable Worldwide Leaderboard. Okay. Did you know that 21.3% of players skipped the intro sequence? This is you! Oh no! Okay. Fine. So, this is the door. Do I now go to this one? The one he intended me to go to. Oh, no, we're just gonna end here.
Would you say that competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
No?
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely opportunity to give it some playtesting. You wouldn't mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect. Let me boot it up. In this game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail. It's a very meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make sure it's effective? Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
All right.
You heartless bastard. Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to spite me? Because if it's the latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely out of ideas. I can't think of a single thing that might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going to try. I'm out. I'm done. It's over. Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey, since my game was so awful, why don't we play someone else's game, just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here? Yes, this seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
What the hell is happening? I love this.
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower, perhaps for some sort of twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come, let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
Okay. We must have all done this at some point in our lives. Right? This looks like something I've seen in another game. Firewatch? I haven't played it, but it's been on my list. Are we playing as a creepy guy spying on people below in Firewatch? Better not be. Cookbook? That's a very thin one. Alright, we're going outside. Wait, does this... Okay, this doesn't work. Where are my people to creep on? Ooh, there's something. Is that an outhouse? That's perfect. Is there a ladder down or something? There is a stair down. Wait, can I take this? No? Well, this is quite different now, isn't it? Poor Stanley. Are we gonna go check out the outhouse?
Oh, no. No, it can't be.
No? Can't be what? Can't. Where was the outhouse? Oh, there it is.
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call. You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big, open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
I see you.
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
Oh.
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind.
Rocket League?
Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility that you could get lost here. Now this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I will be phenomenally impressed.
Oh, I can do it. I am proficient in getting lost.
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball? Stanley, I think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
Oh, God. Can I have a car? Run into it! Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's see. You'll be the orange, I'll be the blue.
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I have a thought. And I realize I'm not a sportsologist, but if one ball generates a certain amount of raw adrenal pleasure, then surely multiple balls makes for an even more euphoric sports experience. I'm going to try it out. Here comes another ball. Yes! Oh goodness, that really does feel amazing, doesn't it? Stanley, I'm like a child in a confectionery shop. I simply have to have more. I'm insatiable. More balls!
Oh no! Oh no! Oh my gosh, you guys, so, like I mentioned before, I am Russian, and in Russia, when I was little, there was a fairy tale movie.
Is this a real video game? Well, I sure hope you're having a good time, because guess what? It's over.
No!
That's right. Your little fun comes to an end. This is my game, and what I say goes. You get to have fun when I let you, Stanley. Besides, you need someone like me to set boundaries for you. Without rules or boundaries, video games are nothing. Yes, that's what I am. I'm structure. I'm your sense of purpose. And since you decided you didn't want to play my game, now I don't want to play with you either. So, goodbye, Stanley. I'm leaving. See how you like it when I'm not around to set the rules. Somehow, I don't think you'll enjoy it as much. But who knows? You're an inventive kid. You'll come up with something. After all, you're the one who knows best. Take care, Stanley.
Anyway, what I was saying, there was a guy who was like a wizard or a magician of some sort, and he ends up going to a soccer game with the kid that that he met before, or the kid met the magician dude. And he basically does the exact same thing as we've done here, or had done to us here. The magician guy was so baffled about so many people chasing after one single ball that he thought that surely, if they all had a ball, they would all live happily ever after. So that's exactly what he did. Alright, so, he left us, supposedly. I don't believe that for a second. So now we probably need to try to off ourselves somehow. There you go.
What are you doing?
I thought you left, didn't you?
Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back. We still have so much...
This has very Portal vibes to me. Absolutely so. Okay, so now what do we do? Filing cabinets. We don't have any light. I don't think. So it's like impossible to tell where you're going. Yep. Interesting. We can go back. Or actually, this is going back. 509. 508. Curious. Is this going in circles? Ooh, that sounded different. Um, 423. Ooh. What? Can I get in here? No. All right, let's follow the light. We're 25 now. 27. Wait, this is my room. Very interesting. Very different desk setup. Lots of cameras. Okay, then. Can't do much over there. Okay. Well, I suppose we can continue going.
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end, to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I am. That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes. Yes, I'll be back. There's no other way. Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
Surely. The end is loading. Okay. That. All right. Let's see if anything changed. So far, nothing. So he's not talking to me right now.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Different time again.
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Should we just listen to him this time? Let's give it a go.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Fine. Okay. Time. Back. Back to 11:20.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Right. Meeting room. What day is it today? Do we know? Do not alter without consulting Whiteboard Manager. Whiteboard Manager, huh? Tomorrow. complete today's unfinished agenda. Write next day's agenda. Reflect. Love it. The projector's just going on its own. That's convenient, isn't it? Rate at which charts on the same side depict the same information. Right. Rate of increase in graph per slide. Please, no more charts. The boss appreciation minute. Yes, of course. We have our new product. Solving interpersonal conflict. Alright, well, I guess we're going to our boss's office. Broom closet. Oh, wait.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Did he? I'm such a contrarian right now. Fine.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ooh, there's something interesting down there, though. Okay. Why is this so red? Is this gonna close behind me? All right, let's follow. Let's follow. We said we would, so let's do it. Whoa. That's an office. Executive bathroom. Look at that. Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes, if the bosses suffered losses, then that's what the boss chose. Right. Extreme bathrooms. I don't know about that bathroom reading, to be honest. Okay. Close. Boss's secretary is also not here. Business time. Let's check it out. Oh, he's got his own elevator, of course. Doors monthly. Amazing. Aw, why? That's mean. Okay. Alright. We are going to talk to boss. Or, I guess, see what is in boss's cabinet.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Okay.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Paint bucket. Ooh, another elevator. And very, very much darkness. Wait, can I... Am I gonna die? Oh. Alright. Loading, loading, loading. Okay.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Now we know. Oh. Okay. Weird.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Of course. Escape?
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Okay.
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Jesus Christ.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Yes, could we? Somehow. If that bridge is gonna fall from under me. Cameras. Lots of cameras.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Where is my number? Oh, over there? Huh, okay. People.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Clearly. Ooh.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Right.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Oh.
For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Okay. I guess he would. Console disabled. Alright. That is a lot of lights. Okay, we're going here. Wait. Is that a button? It was a button. I don't know if you did anything. Mind controls. Idle. Awaiting input? Okay.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
What happened? And poof, we're gonna wake up and fire watch again.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine! Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Okay then. It does not look like a door.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Was he? Achievement unlocked, beat the game. All right. Let's see what else we can find about this place.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
All right, so, there is a number of things I could be doing.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
He did. He did do that. But, wait. Could I perhaps open more things now? No?
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his bosses. Oh no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Let's check out the elevator this time. Wait, does this open? No. Okay. So, let's go here. Oh, yeah, here. Call the elevator. And go up? If we can. I'm pretty sure I used this elevator music before. We are going very high if we're going anywhere. Woo! Wait, that didn't go anywhere. Interesting. No, I did not. Well, perhaps we can go down. Down this time. Alrighty. I knew it. Okay, so since it didn't go anywhere, the bathroom probably wouldn't do anything new for me either. Wait, that's different. To be rich, is it a crime? To commit crimes, isn't it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. Whoa! That does not open. Neither does the toilet. Alright, let's go down. Oh, I can't. God damn it. Okay.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
Okay, so let's assume that Stanley does not know this. What does Stanley do?
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
And I can't leave. Okay. So
2845.
Fine, fine.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Okay. Now what can we do different this time? Anything? Loading, loading, loading. I could go
Stanley
down
walked straight ahead through the large
path.
door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Stanley is fearless.
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Can I see it? No, I can't.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Yes. This is what Stanley is doing. Okay. Whoa!
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever.
Oh.
Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man.
No!
So he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Okay. Squish.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Hey, okay, Stanley. Look at you. This world is on pause right now.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Oh, this is amazing. Stanley's computer. This is a office layout. All right. This is the start of the game. Oh my gosh, I love those models, the models of buildings that you can build and you can look at. They're so good. Corridor. The pacing of this opening section was important to get right. This corridor has been moved and altered to make sure the player reaches the 2 doors in a good time. This blueprint shows the office from the beginning of the game. The path from Stanley's office to the 2 doors was the first part of the game that was built. Sections have been added and altered throughout development, though the core layout remains almost identical to the first iteration. All right, and you? 2 doors. The set of the 2 open doors was the very first concrete piece of the Stanley Parable design. Once this room was created, the rest of the game emerged as an extension of it, an exploration of the contradiction this room posed. Filing cabinets. Look at that. Office computers, okay. Database. All right. Solitaire. Installation. Desk example. Button sounds. A selection of the sounds used throughout the game when buttons are pressed. Each sound is a mix of a keyboard stroke and a synthesized tone. Okay. The Office. Have you guys ever watched Office Space? This very much reminds me of that as well. Developed by Crows. We have our 2 doors again. The Office. Maintenance room. The random copier. Let's check out the other side. Office clock, yay! That's a different time, by the way. We haven't seen that one yet. Boss's office. Screens from the development of the boss's office. Alrighty. Oh, there's another path. Curious. The lounge. Underground. Early version of the underground portion of the game. Escape. Huh. Narration outtakes. Kevin writing.
Then he pushed the number 4.
Oh.
And finally, he pushed the number 9. Let's see. Stanley.
Now look closely, Stanley. See how it's impossible for the player to do anything in this room. Perfect example of poor level design, textbook mistake. It's the kind of thing you'd pick up on intuitively if you had even the most fundamental understanding of good.
They're throwing a surprise party for him for all his button pushing.
You'll probably spend the next hour trying to solve it. Here, I'm just going to make this easy on you.
Okay.
Stanley stood on the snow. Stanley pushed the orange lever.
Still nothing? I don't know. Well, in that case, I'll tell you what, you win. Congratulations. You did it.
Okay. Okay, let's go up. Let's see what's going on up there. Freedom ending. This was the very first incarnation of the freedom ending in the game's alpha. Are we about to find out what the other endings are? Oh, hello. Countdown desk. One of the desks from an early version of the countdown ending. Countdown. Wait. Ah! Freedom ending as it existed in beta. Alright. Exit! Monitor room elevator. For a time, the elevator in the monitor room could go up or down, with freedom above the countdown below. We abandoned this when players found it too difficult to remember what was up and what was down, and placed the two endings together instead. Countdown room. I haven't seen the countdown ending yet. This game is now paused. Begin the game again, resume, options, menu. For a long time, we had an ending that only ended when the player restarted from the escape menu. Unfortunately, very few players realized this was what they were supposed to do, which was frustrating for everyone. Buttons? Zending? The screenshot depicts an early version of the ending known as the Zending, which was eventually cut and merged with another part of the game. Zending model. The Zending went through many iterations. This room represents the fourth version of the ending, and we thought it was complete, but decided to abandon and change it again shortly before launch. Zending lovers. Okay. Trailers. We ran 4 major teaser trailers over the course of the game's development, each meant to convey something about the spirit of the game. This is the first one, released in May 2012. It features a series of broken rooms and the voice of the narrator informing viewers that he's repairing a new version of the Stanley Parable. Okay. I'm trying not to get lost, and it's proving to be difficult. Meeting room. Maintenance layout. Okay, let's see. First choice. Obey, disobey. Okay. One doorway to maintenance in the lounge. Oh, wait. 2 doorways. I keep accidentally pressing right mouse button. Disobey. The other entrance would be hidden depending on how you entered. I see. To confusion ending. Doorway to maintenance in the lounge and the original back on track option. Disobey. Lounge. Vent. What about this? Okay. Apartment timer. In a previous version of the choice leading to the apartment ending, a timer would give you 15 seconds to pick up the phone. Not picking up the phone would lead to a different ending. Oh, I didn't even know you could pick up the phone! That's awesome! cargo lift. Always intended to offer the choice of staying on or jumping to a different path. However, after this early version, we decided we also wanted the option of the player falling to their death. Fair enough. The second version is functionally the same as what's in the final game, but we wanted it to look more like a place where cargo was actually stored. Okay. Alright. The office. Narrator emails. Ooh! Dead, strong, bad. After the second trailer was sent out, we asked people to email the narrator for questions. While we had initially planned to use these further promotional materials, we never found the perfect use for them. Okay, alright. I think I'm getting lost here. Yeah, I think I am. Oh, goody. Ultra Deluxe announcements. Warzone? Oh! Early in development, we designed an ending where Stanley would end up on a battlefield fighting aliens. The action game would become sentient and would wage war against the narrator. We realized shortly after starting to build it that it was far too jokey and on the nose for the tone of the game. Plus, some people interpreted it as making fun of people who like shooters, which was not our intention. Alright. Okay, maintenance room. I did look at this, right? Yeah, okay, I made a loop. Alright, good. Then we can go upstairs now. Let's see. Stanley's office. From left to right, the evolution of Stanley's office over time. The first was created in November 2011, the second March 2012, and the third in February 2013. Okay. Alright. Game design mock-up. Oh yeah. This is the level that William, the level designer, sent Davey, the writer, as a kind of audition piece. The strength of this level got William hired to design the full game. Though much of the environment has changed, the basic layout of this mock-up is still in the game. Alright, now we get to go to the exit, I think. Yeah.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Ooh.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path.
Quit. Quit to menu?
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk.
Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
I can turn this off? Can I turn it back on?
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
There's a phone. Or a phone. Oh, there's no computer here. Okay. Wait. Locked. More phones. How do I get in there? 'Cause I would like to. Everything
Stanley
is
went
off.
around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Alright, so since I went up to the boss's office
When
last
Stanley
time,
came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
I kinda want to try here.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Maybe he did. We don't know. Stanley doesn't either. Okay, nothing is open.
Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room.
Thank God.
Life without, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
This is the one I did not take. And this is what would have happened if I didn't jump down from the lift there. Okay, let's see.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Okay. Alright, let's go down the stairs this time.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
I love this. Alright, so
Coming to a
downstairs.
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
He did not do that. He did not do that at all.
But Stanley just couldn't do it.
No.
He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley.
Oh,
Maybe,
gross.
he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
Yes.
No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it.
This is a simulation.
I'm dreaming! He
No.
yelled. This is all a
Hey, look.
dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley
1, 2,
felt
4.
to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
Ooh.
Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts.
Oh, God damn it.
And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself? Believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons.
Night
Please,
terrors have entered
it's
the
all
chat.
I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine.
Surely.
I am okay.
Yep, that happened.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
What?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Oh! Okay. No ambulance calls then, huh? Right. No more Mariella either. There are still some things I need to do. Wait, no, I've gone downstairs this time. So let's take this. I got stuck in a loop before.
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So
Yes,
now in order to
he
get
did.
back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
Is it? I don't believe you. But I guess there's only other way.
Oh, no.
No, it's to the right. My mistake.
Okay.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh, dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ooh. That's not menacing at all. Hello. Oh, hi.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back
glitchy.
to...
Glitchy.
Who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track,
No.
Okay, from the top.
No. Run!
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Yes.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on.
Did
Why
I?
am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Okay. So this way. That way. They're mirrored. Are they all the same? No. These are the usual ones. And this one I can't even go to. Let's go here. Wait.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
No.
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
No, I'm not done. God damn it.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Perhaps, but unlikely.
Okay, yep,
great.
it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Nothing opens. You don't open either. Okie dokie. No? Wait. Oh, no, that's different. I demand my broom closet.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something.
We did?
The story. Here it comes.
Okay. There are no more... Oh, no more arrows.
No, wait. Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Yeah, let's do that. I don't think it's gonna get us anywhere. Oh, hello. This is different. Ooh.
Now this...
Ooh, I
Well,
like
I'll be
this.
honest, I don't recognize this place at all.
I like
Is
this.
this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct?
Is it now?
Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job.
No more door.
Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
Oh, look at that.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line.
Okay.
How simple is that?
Ooh, that's different. We weren't going this way before. Can I continue going this way? Oh, yep, no doors. No doors for me. Line it is. "437. I saw that guy. Well, that lack of a guy on the monitor as well. How convenient that it just like steps around.
The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right?
Is it going to my boss?
Okay.
Ooh.
Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Lots of question marks. Whoa, Line! You're drunk. Go home. Where are we now? Annual reviews. Monthly ledgers. Okay. Corporate imbalances. Consolidation reports. Department accounts. Financial records. Personnel files. Can't access any of them. This line is going crazy. What time do we have? All right.
Wait, cut the music.
Yeah,
Go back and look at that fern.
A fern?
Stanley,
Hi.
this fern will be very important later in the story.
It will?
Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Okay. We are studying the fern. I don't know exactly what I need to remember about it. It looks like a regular fern to me. Okay. I studied the fern. Nothing ever opens again. Line is going crazy again.
We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
I wasn't... I don't think I was able to go into that room before. Ooh, hello.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
The Stanley Parable Adventure line continues.
You know what, Stanley?
Ooh.
I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Perfect. This sounds great.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
I am not. This looks extremely entertaining. No? We forged a donut. How about that, narrator? Ooh, wait, that's different.
Oh,
hello.
No, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Line, go home. Ooh, it's going in the ceiling. That's great.
A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important, we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
The confusion ending.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
All right.
And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Everything explodes.
So, okay.
Oh, both doors.
I guess now we just wait.
Same.
You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Oh, this is so crazy. Did you forget? Tell me.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of something? He hoped it was. He hoped very much that it was.
That is different. A little bit. I also remember the fern, for some reason. Ooh! New content? What?
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
I never went back, or never had the opportunity to go back to the cargo room.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
No more buckets for me.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Of course it is. Are we gonna move?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go.
Oh, we are.
All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Elevator
I have
music?
to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Hello. Oh. What?
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Woo! Can I not jump right after? Wait. Oh, I can only jump in here. Okay, okay, we're doing this. Ah, man. Used up all my jumps. Reset? No, can't.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
The jump square.
Goodness. Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait, there's more. Very good. Yes.
Very good.
I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Thank you for enjoying the new content.
That's it?
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Okay. We're resetting. Ooh. That's different. No more lines. This was what it used to look like.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
That's creepy. Aha! Interesting. So...
Oh. You don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you?
Fine,
Well,
fine,
You're
fine.
a dork anyways. Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
Lovely. Oh, we're falling.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret.
Ooh.
Take a look.
What the hell is this? What the?
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
The memory zone, right. Picnic basket, I love it. Memory, sweet memory.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Oh, look at that, look at that. I love that. Another game that I'm yet to play, and I should, and I will. Our first kiss, my first car, the release of Stanley Parable. Oh my gosh. Smile because it happened. $1. Alright. The demonstration. This is cute. The house is. Go outside. Don't play for 5 years. It's impossible to get this achievement. Nominee. Okay, well, maybe those were not edited in. Aw. We can't. Wait, what is this?
Je suis dans la memory zone. C'est sur la pluie des vélos et je n'attends plus que toi.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like
Oh,
this
no.
stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Oh no. Hey, look at that. And Minecraft here too. The original remake and buttons. What is downstairs? Scary stuff? More stuff. And I'm locked in again.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Alrighty then. Wait, no.
These were simpler times, Stanley.
Couldn't I? Go
But I
down
wouldn't
there?
give to go
The
back,
serious
to
room?
have it all over again.
No? The only way I can go is here. Wait, can I jump again? No? Hmm. Hmm. Oh, this is open now. Nice.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Fallout?
Oh no. Oh, God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't
no.
even imagine what's been collecting down
Oh,
here.
that's so many.
Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Ah! Why right in my face?
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Oh my goodness, where do we need to go? I was hoping there would be a passage behind the pallet. I guess not. Oh, there's more. Except I can't read them. Your roof is leaking.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure.
Aww.
Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
I'm sorry, narrator.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
A very trustworthy-looking plank.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description. Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was... Well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room?
There was.
I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room? Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone.
24 hours?
Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
I
poor
have someone to
plant.
talk to again.
Oh,
Stanley,
no.
I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing.
I was thinking that,
think
actually.
that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing?
It's been years.
Oh, hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you.
Oh,
to begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley.
I wonder what would happen if you just let him talk this whole time. There's still no door. Did he die? Skip. What? Something's beeping for what reason? Is it the button? Is it not working anymore?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It was...
Oh my, it does not stop. What else can we do? Still no door.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is
there
never
you
the
go.
end, is never the 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 end, is never the...
Alright, what other craziness is going on here? Things are not doing so well. Oh! Okie dokie. How many years into the future are we now? That poor plant. Ah! Light! Very nice. And flies. We are going to end up in The Last of Us eventually. I feel like. Yeah, or portal, like way into the future portal. That's an option as well. Are we remembering the fern? Is that it? Oh. Oh. That degraded. What happened? Oh, the button still works. That's terrifying. Oh. What? Whoa! Hello? Well, the world has changed. Where are we gonna go? Straight ahead? Towards the sun? What do you guys think? Let's go towards the sun. Seems like a good direction. Oh! It doesn't want us to. Okay.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Let's go. New content. I don't trust.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Definitely.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again.
Aw.
Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there. Just a kind of, tingle.
A happy tingle?
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
In fact, he did not. He went straight ahead and
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
Oh, yeah?
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
For her?
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Excuse me, what is going on? What kind of her are we talking about here, all of a sudden? Whoa.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Can I do this?
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
I'm going to learn something.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read.
I'd try that.
Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
Okay. Hello. Are we gonna talk about her again? Or are we gonna go back here? Back to the phone again? No? Okay. You didn't used to have a fence.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
Okay, so I want to try picking up the phone now. Can I go back? No, it doesn't want me to. Right, fine. Hello? Wait. Oh, same. Now where are we going? The lounge.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
I'll take the door on the left.
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Can I go back to the phone?
No! Why did you do that?
Oh,
Quickly,
shit.
Hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
Oops. Hello? Are we too late? Where's my broom closet?
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down.
Oh, no.
I have to. I have to.
What a wild experience.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground.
Aww.
What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child.
That's kind of true.
Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Let's try that. Even though we've done everything there already, I think. It looks fine.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
No brooms for me.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Okay. This is not a bathroom anymore, or it doesn't let me in anymore. Nor does this. And that's different. Somehow.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it.
That's
Surely
different.
behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Night Shark 112? Was it?
Stanley spoke the code.
115. Okay.
Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Am I actually supposed to talk? Night Shark 115? There's no way.
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
I can't talk to the game. Night Shark 115.
Okay, fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You... When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Whoa.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
The end.
I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me?
Oh.
Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important.
Oh, no.
The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose.
Oh,
do
man.
Something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay.
Oh.
It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
I feel so bad.
I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do.
Oh my God.
Take as much time as you need.
I can't move anywhere. Oh, that was so sad. All right. Let's try.
Someone was
phone.
following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
No. Not buying it.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Perhaps he did.
Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach, giddy in a way he had never known before. Was it this room? A connection between the two? Could a man love a room? I mean, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
No, he didn't. He went right ahead.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
To get to a phone.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Let's not unplug the phone this time around.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting. That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Can I not? Oh.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven.
Oh.
All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
No. That's my apartment. That's so sad.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Ooh.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence. Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Of course.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Really? Spend time with the boys?
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Prepare dinner.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations.
Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions.
TM,
and down
I
another
like
was
it.
a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Press I to be at work in the morning. Okay, let's not. We're just gonna sit here forever. Fine.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Press G to question nothing.
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
Oh,
and I tried again.
Please
and Stanley
die.
pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Oh. Oh, this is so wild. All right, there's one last thing I want to do that I think might lead to a different ending. Can I type this? Anything? No? No, okay, well. That would have been interesting.
Stanley had never seen the office this brightly lit. Was it a sign of... Oh, please. Are you really just doing this for the achievement? Click a door 5 times. Is that all that you think an achievement is worth? No, 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 no. I can't just give these merits away for such little effort. A measly 5 clicks.
Really?
Now suppose you were to click the door 20 times. I would say that's the kind of effort that warrants recognition. I have to say, I'm still not feeling the satisfaction of witnessing true effort for a noble cause. Perhaps 50 clicks will do it. Yes, almost certainly 50 clicks.
One eternity later.
I don't know.
No, I'm still not feeling it. I want this achievement to have meant something. It has to be a true reward for valiant effort. I want to see some hustle, Stanley. I want to see commitment, a willingness to go all the way, no matter what the cost. Why don't you go put 20 clicks into door number 417?
Fine. If I can find it. 417. Where in the world is it though? Ah.
Oh, great. Now, go click a few times on door 437.
Okay. 437. I thought it was further down, but I'm not sure now. 2837.
Excellent. I think we're getting somewhere. Now, door 415. Let's give it 10 clicks or so.
Okay. 415. Right.
Now, back to door number 437.
God damn it. That here? Yeah.
Let's see. How about you click on, well, I don't know, the copy machine? All right, back to room 417. I'm really feeling it now. I think we're getting somewhere.
What are you doing?
Okay, now go climb on employee 419's desk.
What?
Yes! This is great! You're putting it all on the line, Stanley. I like that. All right, let's keep it up. Go give me a few clicks on door 416.
Okay. Where is 416 is the question. Is that it? Is this the one? No. I don't want to go to new content because I don't trust. Wait. Did I miss it? What? There is no 416. I swear. Narrator, you're an asshole. I guess we're going forward.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
So he did. There is no door 416. He duped me.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Hoping he coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Let's do this. I have an idea.
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future?
No.
Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly impossible to guess blindly, ever. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing.
Okay.
He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
We are doing this. Okay,
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read
to
Mind Control Facility.
We're going to go here. Go through all of this.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
He did. He did indeed.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
There is a door 416. I don't know how I could possibly get there.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Let's do it.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept
that you can see the
his
previous
own
bridge
life
that
in
was
someone
on.
else's control? Never. It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
There.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life.
Okay.
For he
Here's my
would
idea.
dismantle the controls once and for all.
We press on this now.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system.
Let's
In the
keep
event
going.
that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes.
Right.
Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me.
Oh, that's
where we're
4.
going,
Where is 3?
what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that?
Let's find 3.
You'd like to know where your co-workers are. A moment of solace before you're obliterated.
3.
All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go.
There's
and
no
I'm
6,
sure
huh?
whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees.
I have 3 attempts remaining.
Oh, dear me. What's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons.
1.
No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made
Okay, this is awesome.
This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Oh!
Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Okay. Well, this was a worthy ending, I think, to the complete insanity that this game is. Well, I hope you guys had fun watching me flail around in this endless game. I definitely enjoyed myself. Thank you for the people who recommended I check this out. It was mind-boggling at times, but I thoroughly enjoyed the narrator. Honestly, I did. His snark was very welcome. I think I should have wandered around a bit more before I went for obeying all of his commands and reaching the exit ending, whichever that ending was. If it's even an ending, it doesn't feel like this game has a true ending at all. It just keeps restarting over and over and over. So, let's just call that an exit outcome instead of an ending. So I feel like I should have done more exploring before reaching that one. But since I didn't know, there was no way to prevent it from happening. Anyway, like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. And if you did, please consider leaving me a like and subscribing. And now I probably need to stop procrastinating and actually play Alien Isolation. So I'm gonna do just that. All right, see you guys later.